The book Playing Beatty Bow by Ruth Park is just a huge book in my life. It really captured my imagination when I was a young girl, and my daughters as well. But of course, Ruth Park is known for many other books as well. The Muddle-Headed Wombat, The Harp in the South, Poor Man's Orange, and she has a fascinating story. She was born in New Zealand. She grew up in a very poor household and was often unable to attend school because her parents couldn't afford to send her. She ended up in Australia during the Second World War, and success as a writer followed. There's a push on at the moment to have Ruth Park honoured ahead of the 100th anniversary of the Society of Women Writers, which happens in a few years' time. Valerie Pybus is a past president of the Society in New South Wales, and she's with us now on the evening show. Hello, Valerie.
Hello, Lou. How are you, Sarah?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very well. Look, before I go into launch into all the millions of things I'd love to talk to you about, I just would like to say, on behalf of the Society of Women Writers throughout Australia, I'd like to express our real appreciation for the opportunity to discuss our ongoing project. So now I've got that formality out of the way. I am too a lover of Ruth Park and have been. Well, I think it started when I first came here from England,
right,
and read her books and realised that we had so much in common. And she has remained a firm favourite, and I've spoken about her a few times. So, yes, we do have an ongoing project we are so excited about, because we're planning to erect a bronze of the particular person, Beatty Bow, who is a very well-known character, down in the rocks.
So it'll be a statue of Beatty Bow, not of Ruth Park.
It will. It will, and it will be. And writers worldwide will be able to come and view it.
Mm.
And we are so excited. We'll have a whole lot of things planned. So I rather than I ramble on, if you would like to ask me what we've planned and
well, I would.
What's going on.
So let's just explain to people first, if they haven't read Playing Beatty Bow, it's one of her most famous and well-loved books, and it's set in the rocks, but between two time periods.
Well, yes. It was. It's basically that Playing Beatty Bow, although it was written when she lived in Norfolk Island, it was set in the 1870s, and it's a story of life then. It was a bit of controversy about that because it was a very, very truthful story. But people in the powers that be at the time were not very happy because they said, well, there's never been any slums in Sydney. What are you talking about? But time has proved her correct. And look, we are, as I said, so excited to be working on this project.
Right. So the bronze statue would be Beatty Bow, who was a girl who could time travel, and another girl travelled back to Beatty Bow's time.
Yep.
And where did you want to put it?
Well, we're not sure of the well, that's up to the powers that be, of course, but we envisage her going, walking on a flight of steps, and in the area that Ruth Park,
set the novel. Yeah, well, my daughter and I used to do little Beatty Bow days where we'd get the ferry and we'd arrive in the rocks and we'd look at where the shop would have been and where she got kidnapped and where she had to escape, and we did our own Beatty Bow tour. So I think that this is a terrific idea. You've got the support of her family, I understand.
Yes, we do. Deborah's is fully aware of all of this. And I think it's a wonderful thing to think that your mother, who was very successful, is going to be honoured like this in an ongoing way.
Yep. So you'll have a placard below the statue explaining who Beatty Bow is and all about Ruth Park.
I'm sure we will. I have all grandiose ideas of having books available for people to buy there and making this like you go and see the statues, you go to the things in America and you go to things in England for the literary characters. Well, why shouldn't we have ours?
Absolutely.
And she's such a delightful character.
Yes, she totally is. Tell us a bit more about Ruth Park, because I've read some of her other books as well, and her upbringing was a real theme in her books.
Well, she did write a lot of books. She did 27 books, and and at one stage, when radio was really, really popular, she wrote thousands of radio scripts.
Yeah.
And I've recently read her I've got so many things here to say to you. I'm stumbling all over the place.
You've recently read what?
It's
her autobiography. Right, yeah.
Okay, so I thought that I'd like to read you an extract from that Fence Around the Cuckoo, which was her, story of her life.
Yes, I remember reading that, yep.
Yeah, and she has, I think, because we've had COVID, and I think this is such an uplifting little thing to put into the system, because it's almost as if she knew what was going to happen when we were all thrown onto our own resources, and writers have come into their own, and so this is one little thing. She grew up with cousins, boy cousins, as I did, so I really felt attuned to this particular extract. So if you would allow me to just read it, it's not terribly long.
Okay.
But she was talking about to her little sister.
Yeah.
And she was saying about the cousins, and she said, they were my boy cousins. It had been purgatory living with them and even knowing them. Unfortunately, they had almost reached the psychological no man's land of male adolescence. They had awakened one morning to find they didn't fit their bodies anymore, and everything that had been good and interesting now was not. Some of them existed permanently in a speechless state of sulk. Others were unable to cope with everyday life except by spitting, barking, blurting, and fighting. Their world was incomprehensible to them, and their view of it incomprehensible to everyone else. Being a girl, a near stranger, and above all, the reluctant possessor of a pair of walnut-sized breasts, I was teased ruthlessly. Given my vocabulary, I could have shut them up with brutal descriptions of their own physical shortcomings, and many such sentences did I rehearse, but I was forbidden to defend myself. So that's where she was, and I have sent that to a couple of my friends who've got boys confined to the house going through this very difficult time.
Yeah. Yes, that's terrific. So, that's from A Fence Around the Cuckoo, which is the first volume of her autobiography. And I remember her writing about Surrey Hills and living in that part of Sydney. Is that correct in that book?
Yes, that's what she did when she first... That is only the first one. The Fence Around the Cuckoo is only the first volume. I've got to get the next one. I'm actually reading another one at the moment called The Good-Looking Women, which is also about her aunts, which they are fantastic stories.
Yes, she writes about our history in a time of growing up, and it's very evocative, and it's also very much a part of our social fabric, I think, the stories she tells.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Apparently down in the rocks, and I must confess I haven't been there, but there is a house that has been designated as it would have looked when Ruth Park was there. And I've got to maybe you and your daughter will get there before
they
I
didn't
do.
have that when we did the tour. We had to work out ourselves. We used to walk around with the book and we'd go, this is where this happened. So they must have done that. We used to do this when she was little. She's 18 now. But in terms of her other book, someone's texted in and said, from Natasha she says, I completely agree. Ruth Park is awesome. My girls love Callie's Castle. So she's still being read by generations today, isn't she?
She's never been out of print. Isn't that amazing? Never been out of print. So, yeah, I'm so glad people are interested in this because it's something really, it's absolutely unique to us and to our Australianism.
Yep.
And I think we should be very proud of it and use it.
We should indeed. Valerie.
And of course, sorry.
Yeah, Valerie Pybus is with us. I'll just say who you are in case people have just joined in. She's a past president of the Society of Women Writers in New South Wales, and we're talking about Ruth Park and this plan to hopefully have a statue that honours her beaty bow in the rocks. She was a very independent woman, wasn't she, too, independently minded, and she was very focused on having a career as a writer and a journalist.
And she had to put up with a lot and live on, the smell of an oil rag until she could, even feed herself. And the education for young journalists, females, when you read her books and realise that they were getting 2/3, or not even that in some cases, of the pay that male journalists were getting. And so, she didn't have it easy.
And you said she wrote Betty Bow when she lived on Norfolk Island. She lived on Norfolk Island for quite a while.
Only for about 11 years.
Right.
And then she came back and lived in Mossman. And that is where she left us. And she lived to be 93. So, but the sad thing, I think, which not many people really mention, I guess, is she had a very happy marriage. And Darcy Nyland left her, unfortunately. So for the last 43 years of her life, she wasn't able to share the benefits of her award, if you like.
Right. And Darcy Nyland was a writer as well, another prominent writer.
Absolutely. They wrote a couple of things together, but of course he wrote the Shirley and lots of other things. But look, I just wanted to mention, if I may, some of the things that we are hopefully going to tackle to make this project an absolute fact. And we have been in touch with many people in authority,
right?
And we've got all kinds of promotions, the Ruth Park Fan Club, a walk around the rocks, looking at the likely sites, and end up with a drink in a pub. We're going to have a system of lunches at home to raise the funds.
Yep.
And so, and Ethel Turner's house in Killara is also, on the place that we can use.
Lovely. Well, this is all great stuff for post-lockdown. This is all to promote the work.
Absolutely.
What do you need, Valerie Pybus? What do you need in terms to make this a reality? Is it about money? Is it about getting that space in the rocks?
Of course.
Yes.
Permissions from town councils, and we've already got, we haven't got him on hand yet, but we're working on it. The Honourable Minister of the Arts, Don Harwin. It's been proposed to him, and he's taken it on board in as much as soon as the COVID restrictions lift, he will give us his undivided attention.
Okay, good.
So we're going to have a government house tea party. We have so many wonderful plans, and people like yourself that have started at the beginning of all this and have given us the ear, have given us the space to let people know that it's actually happening.
Right.
And we, as this 100th anniversary or centenary doesn't come to fruition until 2025, it will be an ongoing thing, and we hope that we can call on you from time to time to keep you aware of what we're doing.
Absolutely, you can, definitely. Was Ruth Park a member of the New South Wales Society of Women's Writers?
She was, and she also won the Miles Franklin Award for one of her stories.
Yep.
We've had some memorable people in the Society of Women Writers, and we do have a lot of awards that we've been able to use and to grow our society.
All right.
I mean, we have the Alice Award, we have the Abby Clancy Award, we have a wonderful, generous woman called Di Yerbury, and she donates in every year a residency in the UK. Oh. I was fortunate enough to win that in 2018.
Sounds great. All right. Well, I think have you got a website? If people want to look it up, they can look up the New South Wales Society of Women's Writers website, find out more about this, bring on the end of lockdown so people can do those tours and end up with the drink, and they can join this project to have this statue of Betty Bow in the rocks. I think it's a terrific idea.
We would love to hear from them.
All right. Good on you, Valerie. Fantastic. I think it's a wonderful thing to do to honour our great writer, Ruth Park.
But thank you for your time, my dear.
All right. That's Valerie Pybus. She is the past president of the Society of Women's Writers